Well, I think this has definitely been the earliest I've been in for a while. It's definitely getting dark in the mornings, which isn't very nice at all. I have a couple of clients this morning, and then it's to business, where we're going to talk about probably some reasons why you're not necessarily gaining muscle mass. All right, let's get to work. Two sessions done this morning, so that is me now heading home. And I've got training to do. I've got to do an upper body session today. I'm going to go down to Muscleworks Orpington. There is a very good fail coming up in this vlog shortly. That was one of my lower body sessions I completed. I did it there, and it's such an amazing gym, amazing bodybuilding gym. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to head there. I'm going to start the aspect of this vlog that I wanted to get into, because there are reasons why people are probably not gaining as much muscle mass as they probably could beyond just genetics. Right, stay at home. Somehow get in my door, get my lights on so you can see me. Right, let's turn all this off. The first thing that I want to go over isn't necessarily of first importance. All these tips are basically not necessarily of first importance. They all kind of combine together to help you essentially grow muscle mass. And the first one is sufficient calories and sufficient protein. Now, they aren't two separate things. They're kind of one of the same thing, where you're consuming enough protein to help you grow muscle tissue, which is 2 grams per kilogram roughly, and then sufficient calories to help you build muscle tissue, because you kind of want to make sure you have enough calories to build new tissue. This is separate to potentially the idea of growing muscle tissue when you are in a deficit, which is kind of possible. But I'm going to basically ignore that and just say that you need to be in some kind of surplus of calories, not a huge amount, and consuming sufficient amount of protein. So that means tracking, basically. Track your calories, make sure you're eating enough, and make sure you're consuming enough protein. Right, I'm going to get ready for the gym now. Definitely a good fail coming up very shortly. Get some pre-workout in me, get changed, and it's upper body time. Oh, it is gym time now, which I'm quite excited about, because it's upper body day at, like I said, Orpington Muscleworks. The next part, the next essential or a very important thing... I didn't set this up very well. The next important thing is about training intensity. And training intensity isn't about you looking like it's really hard in the gym, screaming, making funny faces, and rolling around on the floor. I don't know if that's going to stay there, but we'll see. That's not what it's about. Intensity is a weight relative to your 1 rep max. And what we do want to do with muscle gaining is to work within about 50 to 75%, maybe 80% of your 1 rep max, and a certain rep range that you can complete for that. That is intensity. You can be very specific about that. It's, like I said, it's not about making funny faces in the gym or screaming and shouting and rolling around. Upper body session. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, major fail is about to happen in probably 20 seconds. I don't know how much I'm going to film of this training session, but we'll see. It's upper body day, and I'll go through it sort of when I get back, I suppose. But we'll see you when I get back. Peace. So, what a fail. You know when you go to the gym and you can't get a car parking space? When you can't get a car parking space. So the Muscleworks Orpington is, it's an amazing gym, like I kind of showed you in a vlog before, and I love it. But their car parking is literally horrendous. I think they have about 8 car parking spaces for a gym that's probably 10,000 square foot. So I went there, no hope of getting a car parking space, and I was like, fuck this, and left. Really, really annoying. Anyway, to the next muscle building tip. This is how to progress. Tip number 3. It is a book full of my workouts. Every single one from this year so far. Every single one. And this is how you do it. You can't go into a training session trying to remember what you did previously. There'll be times which you might get it wrong. You might not necessarily know how many reps you did. So how can you necessarily then progress, or at least be motivated to want to progress? So adding to the other 2 tips that I've added in, the sufficient amount of calories and protein, the management or at least understanding of what intensity is, there's also tracking your progress. Writing down what you've done and trying to slowly but surely progressively overload and do a little bit more than you did previously within your training block. So get yourself a pen, a book, and write down your workouts. I think it's just one of those days. I mean, I could be really annoyed. I am really annoyed. I'm friggin' angry, but I'll just have to catch up tomorrow, which I will. And I think I'm just going to enjoy, I don't know what to do myself, but I think I'm just going to enjoy a Diet Coke. Diet Coke, get some work done, get a little bit of editing done, and then I'll give you my last tip, which is probably one of the most important ones, to be perfectly honest. Last but not least, I'm over my grumpy streak. Last but not least, the biggest thing you need to give yourself is time. And I think that's one of the most important aspects of muscle building. To give you an idea of short-term and long-term aspects of my muscle growing story is, short-term, I came back from holiday. I came back from my traveling. I weighed 82 kilograms, 81 to 82 kilograms in January. I went for like a kilt fitting that I'm having for my wedding in March. And I recently had another one, just passed actually, I think in end of October, start of November. What that meant was that I was 88 kilograms, so 6 kilograms gained. I'd gained 2.5 inches across my chest and back, and I'd also gained 1.5 inches on my biceps and 1/4 inch on my waist. So a large majority of that would have been muscle, but that's like 10 or 11 months worth of growth. That's pretty good growth in that time, based on how I came back and I sort of started again within the gym because I hadn't trained very much for an entire year. But then if you consider when I was my first competition, in a bodybuilding competition, I think I was about 67 kilograms, maybe, give or take. My recent competitions at a better condition, so I was leaner, I was 75.5, I think, on stage at my lightest. So that's about 8 kilograms. 8 kilograms, 8.5 kilograms, 9 kilograms of muscle mass gained, pretty much, in about 10 years. So yeah, not a huge amount of muscle mass. It does, if you thought 10 kilograms isn't that much, then if you look at ultimately 10 kilograms worth of steak, that's a lot of steak. But fundamentally, my point is, it's a lot of time to gain muscle mass. And that's what you need. You need to give yourself time. My main suggestion would be that you do between 3 and 4 bodybuilding cycles. So that might be about 6 months worth of bodybuilding. And then maybe do a shortcut to just trim off a little bit of body fat, maybe for 4 weeks to 6 weeks or so. Maybe drop about 5% of your total body weight, which isn't too much. So for me, it might be about 4 kilograms, which I am planning on doing in January. And then go back into another bulking phase. And you want to bulk as long as you can. You know, go through these periods of bulking for as long as you can before you go into cuts or into sort of any kind of extreme dieting down to bodybuilding shows or whatnot. Because of that time, it takes time to build muscle mass. It takes a long time, lots of repetition, lots of these little things that I was talking about that all add up to long-term having more muscle mass. So yeah, I hope they've been quite helpful. I've tried to kind of give you a little run through of that. I'm sorry I didn't get any sort of gym footage and things done today, but you know, things happen. Car parks don't have car parking spaces, or gyms that have 8 car parking spaces for that many people. I don't know if I'll be back just because of the fact that it is so difficult to park, but we'll see. We shall see. Anyways, yeah, new book as well. I bought this with my own money. This is the Diabetic and Muscle Guide done by Phil Graham. Great reviews on it, so I thought I'd buy it. I'm not a diabetic myself, but it'd be very, very interesting to see how diabetics go about training around things, certainly type 1 diabetics, and how things might be changed or be a bit different. So I'm very interested, very keen to get stuck into that. Anyway, as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, hit the page like button. I don't know where it is, it's somewhere on this page. But I shall see you in the next one on Tuesday at 5:30. We'll be going through more muscle building tips, and I'm getting better at this vlogging thing, or trying to get better. So I'm going to try and do a bit more of a day in the life, rather than it being sort of a topic, if you will, just to show you what I do, what I eat, and how I get on within these muscle building. I'm rambling on. I'm sorry. Right, episode 8 of the massing season is done.